Hey everyone, welcome back to Cash and Quill.
Today's topic is going to be, how much detail should I include in my backstory, and where is the line between giving the DM enough to work with in the campaign and still developing a full fleshed out backstory?
What a well-worded question.
I feel like some people might not have been happy with some of the backstory video. Mainly your friends.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I mean, I guess for context, I still stand with my first analogy of it's based off of the DM skill level. You know my feelings on backstories. I don't necessarily think they're a requirement for the game. They do add some flavor to the game if you are able to use them. But again, I've had players that are upset that I didn't use their backstory, but I can't. I don't have the ability to work that into some of the campaigns that I run.
Can't or won't?
Can't. It is better to have no backstory usage than bad backstory usage. I've seen DMs where they throw in little things that they think are fun, and the players at the table, when the DM is not there, completely complain about everything that the DM has added in from their backstory. So I'm well versed that a horrible backstory implementation is way worse for the experience for the player. I really do think it depends on your DM's skill level. A new DM is not going to be able to Matt Mercer their way through your backstory and magically make it appear in front of you.
I have my own feelings about this. When it comes down to a detailed backstory, if you give little details of how you got to this point on that point and how many people you know and I think leaving open threads is super important in any backstory, detailed or short. What I would say is you don't want to have a closed off backstory. You actually want to have an open-ended backstory, giving the DM to pull on all the threads you left open. Did my father or mother or whatever die, or did they just disappear? Did this person actually do it because of these things, or do you even know why they did it? Did you just write in your backstory, this happened to me and I don't know why? This person did this, but I don't know why. You want to have questions, things that can be developed into the main story and used thoroughly through.
One of the things I would ask, though, just in general, would be what purpose does a backstory really serve within that game itself?
I think it depends on the game. As we talked about, one-shots are not needing as much of a backstory, while bigger campaigns, I think, could just thrive on that stuff. You want to really have something for the DM to pull you into the world, to dispense you across all these different facets that they can actually create and employ your attention on.
Would you say the answer to that question can also just be talk to your DM?
Of course.
About that? And like, hey, what parts of my backstory would work best in this campaign? Let's hash it out together.
Yes, of course. You do not want to just assume. I think open communication between player and DM is one of the most important things when coming together to play this game or any tabletop role-playing game in the future. One of my oldest characters that we are actually next week is the end of an 8-year-long campaign I've played with a group of friends that I've had forever. And I'm excited, but the thing about it is I created my backstory. It wasn't exceptionally open-ended, but it did have an immense amount of detail when it came down to character items that were given to him by either his sister, his mother, his father, and all throughout his life before he went as an adventurer. But those items he continuously used or had at his disposal. The bow he used, the arm guard he used, the bracelet he always thought about and held, and also the coat that he wore. Those items are important to my character, and I had that in the role play as well.
Wouldn't you be worried, though, in that particular scenario that you would never upgrade your equipment then if all of your equipment is sentimental for one reason or another?
No, I did.
This arm guard belonged to my sister. I'm going to switch it out for a better one.
No. I would intentionally go to magic shops and I'd say, hey, I'm not giving up this bow. I want to enchant this bow. Along the journey, I would find ways. Yes.
These are my granddad's ashes. I'm going to get a new jar. Bye, Granddad.
No. When it came down to it, the items, anything I had, primarily it was just the bow. The bow itself was upgraded over time, again and again, adding things to it, magically enchanting it, stuff like that.
I think that's one thing that we tend to forget as newer players, and DMs especially, is that upgrading exists and has its place within the world. I think one of the challenges that I have in working in people's backstories is that a lot of the players that I end up dealing with make backstories that are practically impossible to add things into there. You have the edgelord that is I've gone through all these experiences. I've mastered the art of kung fu, and I killed the dragon, and I rescued the princess and saved the queen, and I became king of this kingdom. Okay, great. Make a new character. You're all done. Why are you here?
You're done. Pull it out of the oven.
Okay, king, go kill rats in the sewer because you're level 0.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do?
No, I get it. No, there's an art to writing backstories, and it can be misconstrued that you're creating an entire backstory of a person from start to finish, but you're actually only creating it from the beginning till the point that you're going out as an adventurer, rather than you've already been an adventurer kind of thing. Yeah. You don't want to have a fully fleshed out thing. You just want details of why you are the person you are, and that began to adventure.
Yeah. And I think other the struggles is, especially with ChatGPT, people just have these extensively long backstories, and I don't have time to read it. 30 pages of backstory. I had a friend who wanted to start a campaign, and he's like, minimum 15-page backstory. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm not playing in your game because I'm not going to take the time to make that backstory, and you're definitely not going to take the time to utilize that backstory as someone who's barely DM'd ever. Being a DM is a thankless, hard job that most people will never experience, unfortunately. And it's just sad that the part of the game that is the most intensive.
There was a comedian talked about how serving tables at least 2 weeks in your life will give you a lot of respect for the people that do it for you. I think everyone needs to try to run a game as a DM. One shot every now and again whenever there's time between adventures because of something that happens in life. Have a rotating schedule. Everyone has to do it. Doesn't have to be perfect, but giving that idea of how that works and the stress, what you have to prepare, all the work that goes into it, I would say would teach a lot of players a little bit more respect towards the DM that's running and putting all that time in.
Yeah, and I think doing so would definitely help people understand how to craft their own backstories to fit that narrative.
Exactly. So it's kind of like
Like, you know?
Like. And subscribe.
Remember, commenting is a free action. I think it kind of goes back to what you said, which was start your character's backstory before the adventure would have begun and get them to the place where they would start that adventure. You're not going to be king. You're not going to be the lord of a manor unless that suits the narrative.
Exactly.
Like why? Like what is your campaign setting? Why would your character be there? And what brought them to that place?
There are exceptions when it comes to those grandiose backstory ideas. I remember one where it spoke of a paladin that had led armies, great power, enough to slay dragons, all this stuff, but he actually met a woman.
Those darn females.
Darn females. No, he met a woman, and he renounced his vows to actually go and be with her. He lost all his power, and he is now starting as a level 1 fighter. He doesn't have any power as a paladin because he broke his oath. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dang, that's freaking good.
I mean, I'm sure that works. That makes sense, but that still falls in line with what I just said, which is, why is your character at that particular point in time?
Right, but you were saying, don't be king, don't be this. I'm like, well, there was some...
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point, and I think that's a good thing to bring up. I just don't think that that's going to be the rule.
It's the exception doesn't make the rule.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be the rule, but it still fits within the boundaries. I think that's what your session 0 is going to be for.
Yeah.
Is what is your backstory? Do you think that your backstory should be secret from all the other player characters, though?
It depends on the backstory. So with session 0, if you have a good group of players that are not going to metagame, I think it would be a good thing to have that session 0 so that you can all get together and have that time to hopefully synergize off each other into making a great group. You don't need to write 1 million pages like we've talked about. Detail is good, but honestly, write what you're happy with. And if you don't feel like it's enough, ask help from your friends or from the DM themselves. Go over it with them. Hopefully, that creative process being combined with someone else will actually make it so that the DM will remember your backstory even easier since they had a hand in creating it. Then, you also have something that maybe the DM had a little bit more writing experience and you were able to get a little help. Because not everyone's a writer, not everyone's perfect. ChatGPT, AI, it's cool, it can help you, but when it comes from you, that matters even more. ChatGPT is a tool, but not a replacement.
Yeah, I think above all else, the real answer is just going to be make your backstory along with your DM.
Another detail that you actually need to think about is you don't need to come up with everything yourself from scratch. You can use other forms of media. Everyone out there has been inspired by something. Take what you have learned. We are creatures of habit. We're creatures that evolve, learn, and have minds that develop over time. And I'm saying, take all the information you've ever gathered over all the media that you've ever watched or read and come up with something that might be similar to something else, but in your own fashion. You don't need to start from scratch and come up with a completely independent idea. I think you need to just do what makes you feel happy when creating those characters because you're the only one that's going to be playing them. So it doesn't really matter about what anyone else thinks. If you think this guy's really awesome or this girl, whatever you make, I think it's definitely important that you care more about that than anything else.
Yeah.
Of course, try to make someone that also works well with the party.
Agreed. Anyway, that just happens to be how we feel about it. What do you think? How much backstory would you like to put in for your character?
And if you enjoyed this conversation, hit like and subscribe. It helps the table grow and keeps the party going. There's also a link in the description where you can vote on what you prefer. Cast your vote, and we'll see you in the next one. And then cut.
Let's go, buddy.
I'm ready.
Start the thing.
All right. I really tried to make sure I didn't leave any open gaps there. I was like, boom, 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 boom. Do not pause is all I thought. And I'm like, okay, focus.
So, but the heart of that...
I did the hand thing. I'm leaving that in. Those items are... No notes. This is all good. Looks great.
Yeah, I know, because I'm amazing.
Yeah.
And that sounds so much like you.
Very logical and straightforward.
No, just dumb.
I'm not going to metagame. Maybe I should say that differently. ChatGPT right now is a tool. Because I had that whole video of me being like, AI is going to replace. It's making the frogs gay. So that's where I'm at. Everyone out there has been inspired by something.
It's not a copyright violation. I was inspired. Anyway, that just happens to be how we feel about it. What do you think?
You do that turn, and I'm always like weirdly behind. Okay, let's hit it again.